I can remember getting letters from you, Mum, when I was at school and then at teacher training college, and Donald and you were taking cargo to and from Vietnam during the war. And I didn't fully comprehend the dangers that you were going through at that young age. But just tell us briefly about your time in Vietnam.
This was from Singapore down to Saigon and Da Nang, going down the Mekong River. You have sandbags all around the bridge. When you get to a place called Cap San Shark, you have to wait there for a pilot. You'd see all these ships waiting at anchor, and of an evening you could be out there for at least 10 days waiting for a pilot. Every evening a pilot boat would come out with a message and you think, oh, is it coming to me? I'll be going down. One gets a little bit bored swinging around an anchor, but it was the companies who were going to pay the biggest bond to the crew, the pilots. Going down the Mekong River was pretty dangerous. You'd have the American helicopters going over and they would come down very low and ask what cargo you were carrying.
And I seem to remember that you befriended some of the American
yes, we did.
Sailors or soldiers.
Yes, we'd stay, we'd anchor along on this berth, which was down by the fisherman's wharf, and there was sort of an army camp there, and we made great friends with the crew at the Americans, and they used to ask if they could come on board on pay nights, and Donald used to say, providing you've got your shirt on, yes, and they used to come on and bring their beer, and I used to dance with them, and then we made special friends with a couple of them who wanted to come up to Singapore with us on their R&R, which we would like to have taken them, but of course if anything should have happened to our ship, the American government want to know what two Americans were doing on our ship. Anyway, they flew to Singapore, and then we entertained them when we got into port. We kept in touch with them for quite some time because the years rolled by and you sort of, their lives change and my life has changed.
Actually, just mentioning about ships there, Mum, I'm sure we both remember when Donald took us, returned us from Japan back to Hong Kong illegally on his ship. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember that very well. He got us a ticket to, we couldn't go up with him to Japan. We had to go on one of the other, I wasn't married to Donald then, and we had to go on one of the other company ships, and we weren't going to be able to fly back, to sail back with them. We were going to fly back, so we had an air ticket to fly back. Well, we arrived in Yokohama, and just as we were approaching, there was Donald's ship sailing out. But not to worry, the agent came on board, a very tall, handsome guy, and he looked at me and he said, I've been looking for a tall, blue-eyed woman. It must be you with the little girl. And he said, Captain has asked me to take care of you. And he took us both, after he cleared the ship, he took us both to the Grand Hotel in Yokohama. And Pop had left flowers and fruit and things for you. And it was just absolutely fantastic. And the next morning he took us to Tokyo, and there we flew to the next port of call, which was, oh, where was it?
Was it Kobe, Mum?
Kobe, that's right, Kobe. And there we met Donald. But we hadn't been on the ship 5 minutes when you said you wanted to go ashore. And you went ashore and you went to this big department store all on your own. You're only a little kid. We were worried out of our lives about you.
Anyway, Mum, you can see why I like travelling and adventure. It's all your fault.
Absolutely.
But didn't we go back to Hong Kong on his ship, and
right.
we had to hide in the loo
yes,
or something?
What happened was the ship that we had sailed down to Yokohama on was also in port, and the captain invited us over for dinner. And I had developed a cold, and Donald had told him that I was going back on the train to Tokyo that night, and then catch the train for Hong Kong. And he suggested to Donald, why don't you take them both back on the ship? As long as you get them through immigration and customs here, they'd be okay. So this is what Donald did. And we sailed with him all the way back to Hong Kong. Well, before we got into Hong Kong, we didn't go into a port, you go to an anchor. And so Donald said, you have to go into my bathroom, both of you. So into the bathroom we go until the ship had been cleared with immigration and custom. And then we caught this little Walla Walla boat and went back home.
I remember it well, Mum.
Yes,